Hello and welcome back to the news. No, I'm joking. Hello everyone and welcome back to Index Office Hours. Today is the 9th of January and this is Index Office Hours 139, the very first episode of this year. Wow. Here we go. 2024. Woo! I love that. I love that. Thank you for the support there with the claps and the pew-pews. If anyone is new to Index Office Hours, this is the town square for graph ecosystem participants to come together and discuss the most important and relevant topics for indexers. This is a conversation. We love participation. And so if you'd like to get involved in today's conversation, it's going to be an open one. Seeing as it is the very first one, we're going to keep it open and kind of have a lot of discussion. So if you'd like to get involved in the discussion, please do via the text box in the corner or by unmuting your mic. And if you're having any issues unmuting your mic, let me know and I will get that sorted for you. As a reminder, this is a call that is recorded and posted onto public channels like YouTube. So if you're concerned about privacy, please bear that in mind. And with that, let's get into today's agenda. Alrighty. So thank you very much for posting the agenda there. Pili, really do appreciate that. So as for opening remarks, I give a shout out to GRTIQ, and today's no different. We have episode 149, which is kind of like a best of 2023. It's a multi-part series that Nick has put together, and he goes through some of the podcast episodes from podcast episode 98 all the way to 122. Very impressive that he's been running the podcast for that long. It's a pretty good resource, and he highlights some of the most interesting episodes or snippets, I should say, from those particular episodes. So if you're interested to get that nice highlight as a way to start your year, then I would recommend checking that out there. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Anna for our Repo Watch section.
Hello everyone and thank you, Abel. All right, so today on Repo Watch, starting with execution layer client, we have had two new releases of Aragon. So the recent release 256.0, which schedules the 𝗀𝗂𝗪 hard fork for 𝗀𝗪, which will happen on the 17th of January. And then we also have release 256.1, which adds 𝗂𝗪 boot node. We have been running 256.1 on Ethereum, 𝗀𝗪, 𝗨𝗀𝗀𝗂𝗪, 𝗨𝘀𝗲𝗪, and 𝗨𝗪 without any issues. And then moving on to the next one, which is Get, we have had a new release here, 1.13.8. This is a hotfix release for a regression which affects versions 1.13.6 and 1.13.7. So if the node is shut down during sync, the node will refuse to start with an error message, failed to register the Ethereum service, waiting to sync. So this new release is important, it's just a hotfix. Moving on to Nethermind, here we have had release 125.0, release candidate 0. This adds support for 𝗀𝗪 𝗀𝗂𝗪 hard fork, and it also adds some new JSON RPC methods. So it get block receipt that is based on the previous parity implementation, and debug get raw block, debug get raw receipts, get raw header, and get raw transactions. Methods that have been added to have a possibility to analyze encoded blocks, receipts, header, and transactions. And the debug _trace JSON RPC methods now support custom tracers written in JavaScript to allow for custom tracing logic, which is in line with the Get implementation. On Arbitrum Nitro, we have had two new releases. Least recent release, so 2.2.1, fixes a database compaction issue affecting archive nodes and also fixes a memory leak in the relay. And the latest release, 2.2.2, fixes broken node interface pre-compile method, and a sequencer panic on shutdown if the sequencer coordinator is enabled, but the backup sequencer isn't available. We are running version 2.2.2 on Arbitrum Sepolia without issues. We also had a new Heimdall release, so version 1.03 𝗨𝗀𝗂𝗧𝗂. Moving on to consensus layer client, we only have had new releases for Nimbus. So the least recent release, 24.1.0, low urgency upgrade that brings full support for the 𝗀𝗀𝗃𝗀 hard fork on the girly testnet and introduces a new path, so ETH v3 validator blocks, and then a slot beacon API endpoints that greatly simplifies the implementation of profit optimizing validator client. And the latest release on Nimbus, so 24.1.1, is a hotfix addressing a problem introduced in the previous release. The problem was that Nimbus was crashing immediately after being connected to an execution layer node, which is now fully synced. So all users of the previous release, 24.1.0, are advised to upgrade at their earliest convenience. And we can confirm that we've been running Nimbus 24.1.1 on all of our testnets. All right, that is it. We don't have anything on the graph stack. Just quickly gonna check the chat. Yeah, no comments. So I'm not over to you, Abel. I'm not sure if who's gonna cover the Juan section.
It's me. So Juan is enjoying the sunshine somewhere in the world, so I will be taking over for today. I'm not as good as Juan. Juan is the best at Protocol Watch, but I will do my best. So a few updates as it relates to forum governance and Protocol Watch. So I'll start off with forum governance. We have the thread being closed for OP mainnet support, as that has officially been supported, and Pedro posted a comment just sending some appreciation to the Optimism team for their ongoing support with this whole initiative. As you guys are aware, we had a episode dedicated to that, where we had Marine and Soy Boy come through and answer your questions. So that's pretty exciting. That's a very very useful chain, and it's exciting to have that loop be closed. We have a comment on 𝗨𝗀𝗃60 for early allocation closure, and a comment comes just saying that there is the initial version of this GIP that has been implemented, and if you would like to learn more about what that looks like, there is a link in the Protocol Watch section. And then as it relates to forum research, we have actually, not to put you on the spot, Ram, but if you're open to discussing this, actually could be quite fun. I came across your post in the forum about curation and some of the questions you asked the community. Again, not to put you on the spot, totally okay if you want to skip this, but maybe if you want to say a few words about your forum post and kind of some feedback you were looking to solicit, because this is actually a great place to try and solicit that feedback if you're open to that. Is that something you're open to doing, Ram? And yeah, I can give you mic abilities if that's an issue. Let me just go ahead and do that now.
Can you hear me yet?
Yes, no. I can indeed. Yeah.
Okay. So yes, I posted that there have been a number of discussions over the a reasonable period of time, trying to understand what curation was trying to achieve initially and contrasting that with what's happening in curation at the moment. And I think it's pretty broad agreement that we're not achieving the original objectives of curation. So in this post, I just wanted to first make it open and get a lot of input from people. I do actually have quite a lot of input already in terms of what I think curation should be achieving. but I tried not to lead the witness, if you like, and first open it up to the forum, because I'm sure there are some other perspectives which I'd love to hear on this topic. I think the next step after this is really we need to put a little bit of effort into figuring out how to best meet it. Now, I'm sorry, I'm a little bit short of time. I have to go and pick up my son. I'll be listening, but I need to go off audio now.
No worries. Thank you so much for taking the time there to share additional context. And for those who are curious, I've posted your forum post there. Thank you so much, Rem.
Thank you.
And then, yeah, thanks so much, mate. And then the other updates we have is it relates to forum research is GraphOps, our team. We've posted our January update for 2024. So if you're interested to hear about that, I will go ahead and link that over here. And that is it for Protocol Watch. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Paka, who's going to take us into Project Watch.
Everyone, let me quickly share my screen. Hope you're all doing well. But yeah, just a quick one today. One of the big exciting things that's happened in the new year is we're finally unblocked the guild on being more active contributors to the indexer repo. There were some ongoing problems with Apple chips and some of our software, and so we've resolved that, and so really excited to have them on really more actively contributing to this repo. So that should be exciting and hopefully get a lot of new developments this quarter and beyond. And then second issue that's pretty relevant to you all, the resolving crafting
very
dependence. Yeah, what's up?
quickly. Oh yeah, sorry. I was going to interrupt you to say I can't see the screen, but we've just got it now. Sorry about that. It was just a bit of a delay.
Oh, cool. Sorry about that. Yeah, so we're seriously thinking about how to resolve this problem for you all, and so keep an eye out for a forum post coming soonish on the proposals we're thinking, and engineering planning is underway. So I'll keep you all posted on that, but that's definitely something that we're actively trying to fix soon. Pivoting quickly to GraphNode, some of this is kind of in progress, but also future planning for this quarter. Exciting conversation we had earlier today during our stand-up was like maybe 100 minutes discussing composing data across subgraphs. And so I think this is an active area that we're going to be focusing on this quarter and beyond. And so really specifically targeting, at least initially, the kind of large multi-chain protocol use case. So imagining subgraph entities across chains, but from a single entry point. So I'm really excited about this over the coming quarter and beyond. Not exactly sure on timelines, but I think this will be a really fun and exciting addition. And then something that's been a little more developed and ongoing is this substreams triggers as subgraph mappings. And so really improving or enhancing the integration and user experience for substreams powered subgraphs. Felipe has been doing some really cool work here, and we're kind of transitioning out of the dev work and more into coordinating with developer relations and marketing to get this out to users. So I'll keep you posted on that, and excited to have indexers support these kind of data products. And then I guess finally, allocation optimizer. We're trying to revive some work on this project and make it a little more usable and useful for indexers in 2024 with the new network kind of conditions. And so I'm excited to update just some simple quality of life things like changing defaults, but then empowering you all to optimize for maximum query fees, because I think that's something that we're all really excited for. And so hopefully this tool can help you better streamline your operations. And so this is another project that we're going to start working on this quarter and beyond. So no timelines, but really just wanted to put it on your radar that we're going to be thinking about these toolings again and hopefully make your lives as indexers easier. And with that, thanks.
Amazing. We've got a couple of questions for you in the chat there, so just want to pull your attention to that.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. Okay, so start with Chris. Query time aggregations. David's been working on that. I think this is his second day back. It's still kind of picking up speed again. I don't really have a timeline, so to speak, but I will definitely follow up with David and kind of share with you all once I hear back. Vince has question on when cost models on Arbitrum 1. Yeah, that's kind of related to the guild onboarding and really just backfilling some capacity indexer project. As many of you know, was no longer involved in the project, and so Ford's been kind of filling in the meantime, but he's really busy as an engineering manager. And so I think that it's going to be exciting to get other contributors involved so that we can really push on these needed features. But thank you for calling that out, and it's definitely on our list. We're just empowering people to start tackling these things on the list. So I will keep you posted, TM. And then adding a row count would also be incredibly useful. Could you clarify what you mean by that, Derek? I'd appreciate that clarification. And also, thanks for the feedback, everyone. Let me know if these presentations help or if it's kind of just a waste. Kind of trying to make the information useful for you all and share the link to this.
I love them.
Okay,
I
cool.
love them. I just want to flag that. I think visual stimuli is important, especially.
Cool.
I mean, the slides are sweet, but some supporting slides that you can walk through as opposed to just audio. Just at least for me
Totally.
personally, I think that helps. So definitely, I would love to see more.
Oh yeah, I didn't even realize that was you, Abel. Dang. You can't do us dirty
Yeah,
like that and change the avatar. We gotta...
mid conversation. Yeah, I thought it would be. I've been meaning to do it, and I just thought, hey, why not? Sorry to do it like mid conversation though. I hope you guys like it. I'm pretty proud of it. It's pretty cool.
Oh, okay, cool. Interesting. So thanks for the clarification, Derek. Sorry to be toggling conversations, Abel, but I will take note of this so that I can follow up on it. Okay. I'll try to get back to you soon. But thanks for that. Loud.
Hey, Baka, this is probably not related to what you were talking about, but can we get more support from Edge Node people, especially now during the transition over to the network of the hosted service? Because a lot of us will try to support new chains and new new subgraph deployments and everything, and we probably need some help, especially looking at the questions from Stake Machine, having to deal with shards and managing things for the indexers on the network is not the same as the hosted service ones. And yeah, we would probably love to have a lot more support going forward.
That's definitely heard, and I'm not going to speak for support because Mickey's here, but I know just generally EdgeNode is really trying to prioritize getting more engineers in Discord again, help support you all and hear the pain points and see what we need support. So thanks for calling that out, Payne. But I don't know if Mickey seems to be typing, so I'll let them go deeper. And then for Stake Machine, I've taken note of your question, and I will follow up with the team, with engineers and stuff, and I'll get back.
New people don't really know the things that we are dealing with. We need people that are actively engaged and have been engaged in the last couple of years to help us with some of the things.
No, I mean, we're trying to get people like Leo and Lutter here. Leo's been doing great with the GraphNode Ops team, and I think that the learnings that they're kind of getting will be super applicable here. But
I was just reading the chat. Miki said she's trying to hire 2 people. Yeah, but
cool. Yeah. And then I guess to clarify Mickey's comments on it seems like there's 200+ glorious entrance music. But yeah, it seems like some people want more support from David in terms of sharding. I kind of passed along a document that he created in the GitHub repo. Does that not kind of have everything you all need? Are there specifics that we could kind of, I guess, pre-send to David so he can come in and just share all the guru wisdom? I mean, one
I'm
of them is
always
taking Shane's
relaying
question.
questions to David, but like the problem is you get those questions as you try new things, and you kind of always end up having questions all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially after like doing things that you never did, like sharding.
Totally. Okay.
This is just one example. Like I'm constantly writing David, and I'm also writing not for my own personal needs, but also other indexes that ask me questions that I don't know the answer for. I'm going straight to David. But then again, yeah, I would love to have other people involved as well, and not just him, but also have him on, like, give him more time to help us out, because like he's replying to me every once a week. Which is definitely not enough if we ever want to bring that hosted service to the network. Like, I haven't done anything personally on the home infrastructure for supporting the upgrade indexers because I really didn't have answers to what I need, and every time I try to do something, I end up with 10 more questions. And it feels like there's no end to this.
Yeah, that is not a great feeling or place to be. So sorry about that, but yeah, thanks for calling that out, and I'll see what we can do. But yeah, no promises, but I'll definitely keep you posted as we talk about this internally at 𝗨𝗀𝗄𝗧. So thanks for calling that out.
Yeah, just to add on that, what we could do is we could round up a couple of questions to start with, so that when David comes, he has something he can speak to. But then, as Payne said, as we're speaking, questions are going to come up. So if he's open to answering those questions on the fly after all of the collated questions are answered, that'd be awesome. So yeah, we'll try and get him on. I think it'd be awesome for everyone to, he's just a wealth of knowledge. So it'd be great for everyone to learn. So yeah, I'll coordinate with you, Paco, to sort that out.
Sounds good.
Cool. The chat seems to be going off. Let's see if there's anything in here that's worth addressing.
Yeah, I'm taking notes. Thank you, Derek, for that extra commentary. But yeah, we'll what information I can get and share with you all ASAP.
Fantastic. Cool. We'll keep the questions coming. We'll try and answer them as much as we can. But in the meantime, I'm going to throw it back to you, Paco, again, because unless Ford is here, he doesn't seem to be here. So I think if you're cool with it, Paco, let's discuss this. The indexer leaderboard, transparent indexer leaderboard.
Oh, shit. Here we go again.
That was
I had
great.
to. That's it.
That was so well played. I love it.
Okay, so let me share a couple links. So I think that we're all kind of familiar with an idea of a leaderboard, and I think we were exposed to that with MIPS, and there's pros and cons to kind of how it. But I think the general idea of having a more accurate reflection of the kind of quality of service that you all are providing is able to everyone, to differentiate yourselves as operators and for consumers to ultimately see who's kicking butt. And so we're just trying to resume or revive this conversation around QoS metrics that might be relevant and interesting to share on some sort of public-facing user interface. I'm going to quickly copy paste some of these example. Yeah, right. No, for real. Zombie indexers on page 5. Page -1 using indexes. But yeah, these are some example metrics that we've been thinking about that exist in the QoS Oracle. And I'm going to share some links to these relevant as well. And so this is kind of an open-ended, yeah, I love that. This is an open-ended discussion just to kind of pulse check, see what y'all are thinking. Nothing is really quote unquote legally binding today. We're really just trying to talk and see kind of what you all think makes sense and the data we already have. And I've also shared the MIPS QoS dashboard. Be awake again because I've been looking at it the last day or so. Just examples of the MIPS leaderboard and then the source code for the QoS dashboard that Ricky created. And so I just wanted to open it up to you all. Do you have any strong opinions about leaderboard as a whole or specific metrics? It seems like generally people are salty on the zombie indexers. And so thank you for that, Derek. I will let Ricky know that it is broken. Also, I'd say don't pay attention too much to the data so much as like the schema or like the fields. Yeah, thanks for letting us know. So does anyone have any opinions or not, whether in text or meeting? Just curious to hear.
Yeah, this is something that is going to affect all of the indexers in the room. So I'm sure folks have. Well, I think now is a great time to share your opinions and thoughts because that will obviously influence how things play out.
Chris said P99 latencies. Thanks for that, Chris. Yeah, literally just feel free to throw it in chat or unmute yourself. This is when you can be heard and really help shape the future of indexing and how customers perceive y'all and making it just a better protocol for everyone. I think that the Explorer, it's a tool that serves a certain purpose, but I think as a network, we're at a different stage now. And so we need to perhaps share different kinds of data. So I'm just really excited to see what so be gone ranked by stake. I like that.
Hacker. I have some context to share here. So my understanding is that the existing QoS Oracle and the fields that you shared in the subgraph, well, in the data that is exported and uploaded to is it Arweave or IPFS? I forget, but one of the two. We like at the moment, my understanding is that that particular pipeline that delivers that set of metrics is kind of coupled to EdgeNode's wider, data infrastructure and like reporting and pipelining systems. And there was brief discussion at one point about how it makes sense to for these key metrics to, build those calculations into the gateway itself, or otherwise like decouple them from EdgeNode's complex data engineering pipeline. Because as we add new gateways, we need all gateways to be able to deliver on that same standard of QoS data.
Oh, definitely. Sorry, I was. Is there a question? Are you asking for comment, or is this more just context? Sorry, the
Yeah,
caffeine is not hitting.
No, that's fair. I should have shared a more complete call to action. I guess it is just that as you guys look to do work on the pipeline that like materializes the QoS Oracle data points, if you can prioritize decoupling that from EdgeNode's, independent data pipeline and, kind of shipping that as something that is included in the gateway and all gateway operators can deliver on without, needing everything that EdgeNode is running.
Yeah, that's great. I'm taking notes on that. That's super helpful clarification, Chris. Also, I feel like that meme sometimes that Steak Machine posted, the face, with or without coffee. I'm just like, oh my goodness.
Chris, I have a question. It's probably not so much related to QoS, but like, let me know when can I ask you that?
I think it's fine to ask. We can always circle back to QoS. So yeah,
I
go for it.
wanted to use that sound.
You were teeing it up so you could use it, right? Like you laid up the perfect moment.
No, I see questions related to QoS. Go for it. Let's cover these. I'll ask mine later. It's sort of also related to quality of service, but not the ones that we're talking about right now.
Gotcha. Paka, some questions are coming through, so feel free to address.
Yeah, no, great. Especially from Derek. I think that one is, I don't have an answer to that right now, but that's a really good call out that we need to consider and kind of explain to the community. But yeah, thank you for that. I'll have an answer, but I will definitely follow up when I do.
I think the answer about like, does the QoS of subgraph A affect, the traffic coming from subgraph B? I think for like regular subgraphs, the answer I think is yes. But that kind of note about like certain chains, being unreliable. Yeah, it's a really good question. Really good question.
Yeah, I know you guys are bringing the good questions. Marc Andre, can we break down stats by individual gateways? Just, it's not this aggregated global mush. Probably, but again, I'm not DevOps SRE at Edgenode, so I'll need to get back to you on that. But yeah, we'll. I'm taking notes for sure.
Furiously taking notes.
Cries and multitasking. I'm not sure about Tampa, to be honest. I'm more of a California boy, Derek. But I mean,
The
Tampa
hell is
because it's
Tampa?
close. It's in Florida. It's
It's
Derek,
in Florida. Yeah.
Derek is there. Yeah, that's why.
Oh lol, that's why. America.
Yeah, that meme from Vince is pretty
That
on
gif
point
is
for Florida. Yeah.
Yeah, that gif is hilarious. Who rides a crocodile or an alligator? I don't even know what that is.
Florida.
That's hilarious. That's okay.
Average Florida
Is that an
behavior.
alligator? Is that an alligator or a crocodile? I can't tell. I think it's a crocodile. Looks big.
That's a horse, mate. A Florida horse.
Yeah, it is a horse crocodile. That's crazy. Oh wow, Pepe riding a dog. That's very fitting. It's a very fitting sticker. That was great.
Where the hell did you find it, my dude?
Oh, like people are just so talented with the stickers and the gifs and the memes. It's like you get some that are just so fitting. It's great. That's hilarious. Okay, Payne, you can feel free to ask your question.
So, since we have the GraphCast network, I guess we can call it. Chris, would it be would something like I was wondering how the hell can we collect stats about what queries are flowing to each subgraph so we can build indices for those subgraphs, even if we don't have those queries flowing to us yet. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
for sure, there's something we can collect and share between indexers that we can build we can build indices based off. Would that make sense to have like to exist as a GraphCast app?
I think yes. That is definitely something that we could disseminate via GraphCast, and I think in general, like the thought on how to progress GraphCast is as a way to like propagate this network intelligence. So that definitely fits in. Um, I think one I guess thought that is always at the top of my mind when it comes to GraphCast use cases is um, in the case that um, like in the case that the operator of the kind of GraphCast agent, right, this participant, has public infrastructure available. The alternative to propagating that information through the network using gossip is basically just to serve that information at that like publicly available, internet infrastructure. Um, and for something like propagating subgraph POIs, gossip really has like a very clear value add, and you wouldn't want every indexer like polling every other indexer constantly to try and keep track of whether they're in consensus or not. So there, gossip makes a ton of sense. Um, but yeah, whether, it might make more sense, like if these gateways, if there's not a huge number of them and, a gateway operates this highly available endpoint with HTTP, then why not just have the gateway serve those stats directly to any participant who cares to know what they are? That might actually be more efficient than leveraging gossip. Um, and at the end of the day, it's, the data is regarded as like data that comes from an oracle, right? It's trusted. And there are benefits to like posting it on chain and then using the subgraph to index it or whatever, but you could also just serve that data. Yeah. So I think that's worth considering. But it could be a use case for GraphCast too.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because my main question was coming from the discussion with Eva about like how can we work on having better quality of service for the entire network? And one of the things that like you can optimize would be your infrastructure, basically, right? You can move your indexer close to the gateway, fine, but the rest of it is like how fast you process the queries, and now not necessarily how close to the gateway you are. And I guess this is one of the things that we can sort of automate, would be like building indices for subgraphs that are getting queried a lot. That's a good observation, Derek. But how can you make sure that this is as a like network level, but how can we make sure that we still have at least a few indexers that will keep the archive data going? Because like if we all prune our data and someone tries to query block one, we're totally screwed, right? We need to incentivize not pruning all your subgraphs, or like having non-pruned subgraphs at least once for the entire network. Yeah, that's a good one. Having metrics on how much is time traveling versus yeah, that's true. But I guess like 80% of the queries in general are chain head queries anyway. So
Oh, I would say more than that.
yeah.
I mean, like even if you're looking through looking through some of the different applications and seeing like, okay, how are time travel queries actually in use? A majority of like people that are doing time traveling queries, like I would say a very large percentage of them are things that are calculating, percentage of change in the last 24 hours compared to the prior 24 hours. So if you want like token trade volume of how much has been traded over the last 24 hours to the prior, right? That's where time traveling queries are really useful. Once you start going to like data that's like 6 months back, a year back, multiple years back, typically people are utilizing time series entities and not time traveling queries. And so I would say that of the time travel queries that are being utilized, I would be willing to bet that a very strong, above 90% of those queries are within the last 3 months. And the stuff that's like 2 years ago is probably super rare. But ultimately
look
ultimately
what Mark
we don't know.
Yeah, a small 5% queries that time travel that fail will kill your QoS stats in your travel. Your traffic will drop like a rock. Yeah, that's kind of dumb.
Well, on the status response that indexers are sending, there's a what is it in the subgraph deployment table? There's a block that says that I can't serve query. Like if I pruned it up to block 1 million, it'll send that with status so that I can't serve queries below 1 million. So we shouldn't be considered in the routing of traffic.
Oh, that's very interesting. I didn't know that was this feature. Do we know if the gateway is actually using that?
Yeah, good question. Because if the gateways are not using it, I mean, they should be aware at all times.
Yeah. So in the subgraph deployment table, right inside the subgraph schema, there's a field that will keep track of what you have pruned up to, and this is what will stop the indexer from being able to graft if you set the graft block to an earlier block than what you pruned to, right? Because you would miss data. I assume, but we should clarify that it's being sent in the status checks to make sure that I'm not being routed query traffic for a block that I no longer contain if I'm pruning.
Vince, where the hell are you getting?
I just died of laughter. Oh my god. That was that's got to be the best comment in this entire IOH, hands down.
And add the landmine in front of it. That's perfectly the case for the gateways.
Yeah, a lot of it feels like we're just using like a Ouija board or something.
Yep. Also, a question regarding pruning. Can you prune subgraphs constantly, or is it a one-off thing? Like you prune up to one block and then you have to manually run it after some time.
Yeah, there's two ways to do it. You can do like a once prune, where you're just going to prune up to a certain block. But you can also set it to where you want to have a certain number of history blocks. So maybe you want to keep the last 50,000 blocks. And then at a certain point, there's like this little ratio thing where it says, all right, if you want to keep 50,000, once we get to about 75,000, we're going to reevaluate and prune you back to that 50,000 marker. And that's kind of like this perpetual prune or whatever you want to call that. We have gotten that to work on subgraphs, like the silo subgraphs. They don't do any time traveling queries. So I know, because I know very intimately what their queries are. we can prune that shit. Also because like they use a lot of loops inside the subgraph to where they're creating a lot of old and archive entities that just never get used. And yeah, so we've opted to prune that one, and we've set it to a perpetual prune where every X number of blocks, yeah, prune that shit. Where every X number of blocks, it will then shorten it down.
So what's the benefit of doing this versus the one that just constantly prunes it up the chain head?
Sorry, I didn't understand the two things you were comparing there.
Now you mentioned there's two ways of pruning it, right? There's like one that you mention how many blocks to keep in history versus like the one that constantly prunes it, right? Or
Well,
did I understand that wrong?
No, not quite. So there's one that will will perpetually prune it and when I say perpetually, I don't mean like every second. It's every X number of blocks that's going to reevaluate and bring it back up. But then you also have the option. So the second option would be setting the once flag, and then you can prune it up to this specific block, right? Prune it to the block, the first block in 2023, and that way I've got the last year of archival records and obviously all of the the current state records.
Interesting. Okay.
Hey,
Paka, can you please send that to Martin? He was asking me for t-shirts to make memes of. Yeah, do it.
Oh my god, if this actually happens, that'd be great.
But something really worth noting, and specifically with Silo, which is ultimately what led into our analysis on this, is so they've got this really trashy process where they want to evaluate user positions, collateral, and debt, and blah blah blah, and you have to compare a whole bunch of entities, and they just want to be able to query, okay, who's the 500 most or closest people to being liquidated. And so because you have to compare all of these different entities, there isn't like an easy front end way to do those calculations and to sort it by the closest 500 people. So we made this really nasty loop. It runs every 5 minutes and it reconsiders every user position. So if you've got 3,000 active positions, every 5 minutes you're creating another 3,000 records, right? You've got 10,000 users, et cetera, et cetera. But ultimately, that starts to cause database bloat, and so that table got really hefty, right? This is all on the version 3 subgraphs for Silo, and so that table got really hefty, which started to make their queries run really slow because it's got the tables are indexed and all that, which is great, but they also they have a lot of records. So if you can trim down those records, you can obviously make your queries a lot faster and your indexes just a lot lighter. So that's where we first started to do it. Now, I'm not saying like, oh yeah, go prune everything, but I think there definitely are circumstances where pruning would be beneficial. And ultimately, to my initial comment, knowing who is and who isn't time traveling would really make that decision process easy.
Question though, how can can pruning affect you in a negative way? Like leaving aside the potential money loss of like whatever.
Yeah. So the other thing that could happen is, let's say that I prune a subgraph up to block 5 million, right? Just as an arbitrary number. And then the developer's like, okay, cool, my subgraph just fucking broke. I need to deploy a new one. Oh, let me graft it back at 4.5 million because I knew everything was hunky-dory there. If you've pruned up to 5 million, you no longer have all the state between 4.5 and 5. So you wouldn't be able to graft it. You'd have to resync it entirely and then graft, right?
Fair enough.
So pruning can get you into trouble with things that are grafting regularly. And you would also miss out on all time travel queries.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what Mark said, subgraph developers don't know they can time travel. That's something that we've seen a lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, ultimately people will rely on time series that they've built inside their subgraph, and they have no clue how to pin it to a block.
So I need to become a subgraph developer to time travel to 2011 and buy Bitcoin, okay?
Yeah, it's read only though.
If only,
Okay,
if
that's
only.
interesting, dude. Cool. So to me, it doesn't seem like there's that many downsides, especially when we come to how quicker, like if you can index data quicker, and in some cases I heard that it is the case, and I think it's a good trade-off.
Yeah, I mean your query speeds will benefit from having less records in the table, right? There's no way around that. A couple of things that I've been interested in is like I've been considering syncing a subgraph, turning all indexes except for the primary key, and then the ID field, turning all indexes off while I'm syncing. And then once I get to the chain head, pruning that, and then applying the indexes, because now you're having to go through the step of actually applying all the index data on fewer records. Maybe that would help. I don't know that it would have a substantial increase, but I could imagine that it could.
But how do you know which indices to build?
I mean, I would literally turn off all of them except the one on the ID field, probably the block range index. That's kind of a default on all subgraphs, and then also the primary key, the VID.
Okay.
But like, because by default you've got an index on every column that gets created in the table, and so I would just turn off all of those except the ID. Right? ID is useful because you load entities from within the mappings, and so having easy access to that, that makes sense to me. But yeah, I want to try turning off all the other ones, syncing something kind of beefy. I still don't think it'll get up to 𝗨𝗀𝗃 speeds, but hopefully it starts getting there.
Oof, my mic just cut out.
Well, spilling all the alpha today. We love it. We love it.
Yeah, I'm on the same page, Derek. I wish I knew as much as you do, but I can compensate with hardware and enterprise grade bullshit. If anyone has any questions, I've been dealing with that in the last year or so.
There you go. It seems like there's some useful information exchange. Derek just mentioned he doesn't know much about hardware stuff, so maybe even paint. If you're open to it, maybe a workshop could be fun. If you're open to that.
Depends on what questions people have, because I don't want to talk about shit that nobody uses, right? Like,
yeah, maybe more of like an open Q&A style situation, like where people come and we brand it as like a hardware session, and then people come with hardware questions, and then yeah, you kind of answer for them. Is that something you're open to?
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. I'll
Let's
coordinate with you.
get it how much interest we have from people, but I'm totally open. Like I'm talking about hardware and stuff with my friends all day, so it's
Amazing.
like, yeah, something that I'm
Yeah.
super used to.
What I'll do is same way for David. I'll try and get some questions going for you, and then you can have something to start with, and then people will probably have questions, and then they'll ask that after you've answered all the pre-collated questions. Cool. Yeah, I'll coordinate with you offline for that. I think it'd be awesome. Yes, and
Hey,
then just oh, sorry, go ahead.
one fast question before we end off. The subgraph upgrade radio, Chris. Is there any way that we can get that integrated into this studio?
Yes, we are working towards that. The next step is for us to finish building something called GraphCast.js, which is basically a JavaScript interface to GraphCast. And that work has begun. It's not yet finished, but once that is ready, then it should be straightforward to integrate into a variety of, different front ends.
Good news. Good news. Awesome. So we're coming into the final minute of today's conversation. I'm gonna do a final call on question. Oh my God, the same GIF. um, just it's hilarious. This kid looks so confused. It's the best. Okay, so yeah, final questions, thoughts, anything people want to share. We are going into the new year, so I've scheduled a few things for the coming weeks. But of course, this is for you guys. I don't want to schedule anything. I want to prioritize the things that you guys want to hear. So if there's anything that you guys want to hear in terms of future topics, things like that, Piddy's just posted the link there for the forum. But also just feel free to DM me as well. My DMs are open. So if there's anything you guys want featured in IOH, we can make that happen for you. Yeah, please do share feedback. We want 2024 to be a big year for IOH and the wider graph ecosystem. So we're always trying to improve. So please, if you can, if you think of any way that we can improve, 2024 is the year of feedback. Indeed, every year is the year of feedback.
Hello, IT. Have you tried turning it off and on again?
Jesus Christ. All right. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure, folks. There you have it. The first IOH of the year.
Hey guys, what's going on?
Geez, that one always gets me. And it always happens at the end of IOH, and it makes me feel. It gives me the impression that someone's asking a question, but they're not.
I love that.
Amazing. It's so good. It's so good. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much, and we'll be here again every single week of this year, same time, 6 p.m. UTC. Take care. See you next week. Bye bye.